Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first of hopefully 24 videos about my predictions for the 91st Annual Academy Awards. Now, I'm just going to say this right off the bat. These videos are not scripted. And I also say every year I get a little bit less involved in the Academy Awards, so this might be the last year I do this. Over the course of February, I'm hard at work on pre-production on the short film Captain Spirit. So I have a lot of, and I'm also dealing with my health, so it's a little bit ambitious for me to try and be doing this also, but I figure that these videos are short and easy to make, and so I should be able to get them done, and if anything, it'll give me great motivation, it'll give me a work ethic rather than just sitting and not doing much when I'm not focusing on the film. It'll get me in the mindset of working, which is really going to help once we actually get to the point where we have to shoot this thing. Oh geez. But enough about the film for now. Let's talk about the Oscars. And we're going to start off with a category that is probably the easiest category to guess this year, which is Best Foreign Language Film. So I'm going to be doing the same thing I did last year, which is ranking the nominees in order of their likelihood of winning. So let's get started. Fifth most likely to win is Capernaum. Now I'm just going to say this right off the bat. You could take 5 through 2 in this category and order them in whatever order you want. It really doesn't matter what order you think 2 through 5 are, as long as you get the right number 1. And in this category, there's a very clear number 1. But let's just say that Capernaum is number 5. So according to IMDb, and I haven't seen any of these outside of the winner, by the way. I do not. This year I was really bad at watching a lot of the big movies. We were supposed to get screener copies this year, but we didn't. So, while serving a 5-year sentence for a violent crime, a 12-year-old boy sues his parents for neglect. That is the premise is listed on IMDb, which makes it intriguing. And people say this is very good and that the child star, who is the lead, is very, very good in it. I felt it was safe for a nomination, but in terms of a win, I just don't feel like it has enough praise to win. I think it's number 5, although it could just as easily be number 2. Again, I don't know much about it. I'm just gonna... The only reason I have this 5 is because I think there's stronger arguments for the other nominees. But it could get votes. I just really don't think it'll be enough votes because of this competition. And this movie is from where? What country? I keep forgetting what the countries are. Lebanon. Okay, so Capernaum from Lebanon. That's easy to remember. But I don't think it's gonna win. Fourth most likely to win is Never Look Away. So this is from Germany, and the premise is German artist Kurt Barnert has escaped East Germany and now lives in West Germany, but is tormented by his childhood under the Nazis and the GDR regime. So basically Holocaust movie, but in German, and which is the appropriate language that it would have been in at the time. And the Academy loves Holocaust movies, so this was always a pretty safe bet to be nominated. And evidently they liked it so much they gave it a surprise nomination in cinematography, which no one really saw coming. I have not seen this. I probably will at some point, but I don't know how to get access to it. I don't really know what to say about this. I think it's definitely going to get votes from the cinematography branch, but then again, they also have 2 other movies that are foreign films that get crossover categories. So I think Never Look Away is the real surprise here. And I think in a weaker year, it might be in the conversation. But this is to be honest, this is a really strong year on paper for Best Foreign Language Film. At the beginning of the video, I didn't talk about snubs. I think that's something I might change in the future. I might talk about some of the films that were snubbed. But here, I don't really think there's a lot of films. I don't know foreign films well enough. The only one that I think was a real shocker was maybe Rafiki. even though that wasn't technically eligible, they didn't submit it, even though the whole purpose of giving that movie a theatrical release was, oh, we want it to be eligible for the Oscars. So I don't know how that went down, but the story was interesting, and it would have made a great story if it had gotten nominated, but it didn't. And Never Look Away, I just don't see it having enough support to win. It might be a number 3, even possibly a 2, but it just does not have enough support to win. Third most likely to win is Shoplifters. Now, this one is getting really, really good reviews from critics and from audiences. This is a movie from where? Japan. It's from Japan. Be More Chill reference. I cannot do the high note, but so this movie, according to IMDb, a family of small-time crooks take in a child they find outside in the cold. So, yeah, everything I've heard about this movie is very strong. I'll take their word for it. And I feel a few critics have given this the best foreign film of the year, just to be different. But I don't think that's happening this year. I think, and this one feels, in a weaker year, like this one feels like it could be such a clear winner. And it feels like the kind of film that could really sweep the season. But, I don't know, if there's a shocker, then maybe it could be here. But this category just feels so locked, and I would have this as number 2, but I don't know, the competition is just so fierce. It's such a tight category. Well, I say tight category, it's not tight in terms of the winner is, but a lot of the other nominees are really good too. One of them being number 2, second most likely to win, Cold War. So the premise for this one is, in the 1950s, a music director falls in love with a singer and tries to persuade her to flee communist Poland for France. This one is directed by Paweł Pawlikowski. I need to remember how to spell that name because it's the one thing I got wrong on a Oscar nominations quiz, because it was a surprise lone director nomination that for me came out of nowhere. I didn't have him anywhere near the list, and I'm probably going to have to watch the movie now because of this. And people are saying it's very good, and again, weaker year, this is an obvious winner, especially considering the nominations for cinematography and for directing. I don't know how this movie came out of nowhere to do it. I'm curious to find out. I'm curious to see it. And I mean, it's directed from the same guy who did Ida, which I thought Ida had really good cinematography, but I did not like that film a lot, especially because it came out the same year as Mommy, which is an extraordinary foreign language film and should have been in contention, but it wasn't. But we're all beating around the bush here. We all know it's going to win. Number 1 most likely to win this category is Roma, and I mean, we all know it. I mean, this was the same thing. Here's the thing, even if Roma wasn't the frontrunner to win Best Picture, and you can argue that maybe Green Book or The Favorite is the real frontrunner, but even if it wasn't, how can it not be the frontrunner to win Best Foreign Language Film? This is a movie that is nominated for 10 Oscars. It got nominated in literally every category it was eligible to be nominated except Best Editing. Like, if it got nominated for editing, then it would have tied with Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. That's the only movie that got nominated for every single award that it was possible to be nominated for. And this got nominated for things we didn't expect, for lead actress, for supporting actress, for production design. Actually, it didn't get nominated for costume design, which I wonder if it was eligible for that. But no, it got nominated for both Sound Awards, and it's one of the top contenders to win Best Picture. I feel that we all at least suspect that after the wins Critics' Choice Awards. Even if you don't think it's going to win Best Picture, how can it not win this? Like, remember back in 2012 when Amour was nominated for Best Picture, and I have no idea what else was even nominated that year. I'll probably have to look it up, but it only stands to reason that if it's nominated for Best Picture, they liked it more than any other foreign film this year. Clearly, they liked Cold War enough to give it a lone director nomination, so it probably wasn't too far off in the Best Picture lineup. But But Roma got the love not only to be a Best Picture nominee, but to be a potential Best Picture winner, the first foreign language film to ever win Best Picture, and it would be the first of the main category of the side categories: animated feature, foreign film, documentary feature. It would be the first one of those to also take home Best Picture, which would be extraordinary, and it would possibly leave open the door for an animated film to win in the future. But speaking of animation, I remember when Toy Story 3 was nominated, and we all knew it was winning, even though you could argue How to Train Your Dragon deserved it more. Or even back in 2009, I remember I was a lot younger back then. It was I would have been 11 or 12, and I wasn't as into the Oscars, but seeing that nomination, finding out that Up was nominated for Best Picture, just blew my mind. Like, first of all, a movie I saw was nominated for Best Picture, and second of all, I knew that it was the first animated film since Beauty and the Beast to be nominated. I didn't know much about the Oscars, but I knew that statistic. But what it all boils down to is, immediately I was like, well, Up is gonna win Best Animated Feature now. They can't not give it to Up after they gave it the Best Picture nomination. And so Up did win Animated Feature, and then Toy Story 3, and then Amour. Like, it's the same pattern repeating. If it's nominated for Best Picture, like, they would have to be insane to give it to anything other than Roma. And we do see how insane they can be sometimes, so I won't completely... It wouldn't be a complete shock, but at this point, no one is going to be predicting anything other than Roma to win Best Picture. And even if they are, they're probably predicting so many other ridiculous things that they're not gonna win in their poll anyway. So, for the safe bet, you want to say that Roma's going to win Best Foreign Film and possibly Best Picture too. That's never happened before, but if there's one win that you are completely safe in choosing this year, it is Roma in Best Foreign Language Film. It's not going to be anything else. That's going to be one of the most boring categories of the night. In fact, maybe they should do that one off camera. If they're looking for awards to do off camera, they may as well do Roma, because no one is going to be surprised at all when that wins Best Foreign Language Film. Okay, so yeah, that is my talk on Roma, and tune in. I think tomorrow. Yeah, tune in tomorrow. I'm either gonna do Best Original Song or Best Actress. I'm not sure yet, but we'll figure out as we go. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.